In this video, we are doing part 2 of what each team should do at the MLB trade deadline. We are going AL Central for this video. So yeah, let's get right into it. So for our first team, let's go with the Minnesota Twins. The Twins could use some pitching help. They could use a starter, but really in that bullpen, they could use a couple arms. So that's why I have got them trading for Tanner Rainey and Victor Arano from the Washington Nationals. Currently, Arano is on the injured list, but he started off his season very great. He's fell off a little bit as of late, but he's still shown to be a fairly reliable arm out of that bullpen. And then Tanner Rainey is having a pretty good season as well. I think a 3.54 ERA. He's been doing pretty good. In return, I have the Nationals getting pitcher Drew Strotman and Cash. Rainey and Arano aren't really worth too much, so that's why I think they'd be okay with giving up both of them to get a pitching prospect. Now let's move on to the Cleveland Guardians, who I think are just one piece away from becoming a contender. I have real hope for them making the playoffs this season, so that's why I have them trading for David Peralta and Carson Kelly. Yes, I know it's not a Guardians trade to trade for big players like these, but I think it makes a lot of sense. The Guardians could really use a catcher, just that one guy that's in their lineup every day. Austin Hedges, he's not it. Sandy Leon and Luke Maile have not been really playing that well this season. He would be a great addition as their franchise catcher. They could also use an outfielder, and I think David Peralta would be a good addition to this team as well. In return, I have the Diamondbacks getting Ethan Hankins, Peyton Battenfield, and Petey Halpin from the Guardians. I know it's not a Guardians trade to go and trade for big players like this, but I think that if they do make this trade, they will have a legitimate shot to win their division. Next, the White Sox, who I think could use an outfielder, preferably a left-handed hitter, and that's why I have them trading for Tyler Naquin of the Reds. Now, I'm not sure how often the White Sox would use him. I don't think he would be an everyday guy for them, so that's why I've set up this trade a little bit different than all the other ones in this series. So as you can see, I have the White Sox not just getting Tyler Naquin, but also prospect Joe Boyle, and in return, I have the Reds getting Andrew Dahlquist and Johan Dominguez from the White Sox. I think this is a win-win because even if Naquin doesn't work out for the White Sox, they still have that prospect they can rely on. And for the Reds, who are in full rebuild mode, to get rid of Naquin for a couple of prospects is nothing for them. Moving on to the Kansas City Royals. The Royals are in a weird position where they think they're better than they actually are. They'd been in a good position the past couple of years to rebuild, but they never actually do. They had some good players who they could get some prospects for example, Whit Merrifield, but they never actually pulled the trigger and traded them. But I think this is the year that they do trade these guys. In my trade here, I have them trading Whit Merrifield to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers make a ton of sense. They just lost Chris Taylor to injury, and they could use a utility guy who can go play infield if needed, but especially out there in the outfield. In my trade here, I have the Royals getting two of the Dodgers' top pitching prospects, Clayton Beeter and Andre Jackson. I really like Andre Jackson. In his limited time in the majors last year in 2021, he had a 2.31 ERA, so he showed that he can pitch effectively at the major league level. And Clayton Beeter is the Dodgers' 15th ranked prospect. I could see him coming up and making his debut as soon as maybe the end of this year, but most likely sometime next year. And to me, Whit seems like the perfect guy for the Dodgers. The Dodgers have showed that they like to go out there and get these kind of veteran guys who still play pretty well, but they're not at the peak of their career, and they always play well in LA. I think he would be the perfect fit for the Dodgers. Last but not least, well, maybe least, sorry Tigers fans, let's talk about the Tigers. I think we all got a little too excited when the Tigers went out and signed Javier Baez and Eduardo Rodriguez. Speaking of Rodriguez, hopefully he's doing well. But I think we all got just a little too excited because they are not nearly as good as anybody thought they were going to be. So I have them trading away a couple of their players for some prospects. Those two players, Michael Fulmer and Andrew Chafin. I have them trading these two guys to the Mariners for Starlin Aguilar, Adam Macko, and cash. Andrew Chafin and Michael Fulmer have been very good this season. They'd be a good addition to a Mariners team trying to make a playoff push. And Aguilar and Macko are some pretty good prospects I think the Tigers would like to add to their farm system. So with that said, thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments down below, how were my trades? Were they good? Were they bad? Were they eh? And I will see you all in part 3.